Hello, this is Daniel, and welcome to another AutoFlex Connect settings tutorial video. Today I am looking at misting and fogging in the AutoFlex Connect. I've already got my pieces of equipment configured here, and so I'm just going to hop right in to the settings. So in here we can see I have one pump, two fans, and three different misters that I have already configured. Here I will just adjust the order that my misters come on. So you can select them and use the arrows to adjust the order in which they come on. The top one comes on first and then it goes down the line. Looking at the settings here, we have 6 general settings and then we have this mode drop down. I am going to select that and I'll select misting and fogging from here as that is the mode that we are looking at today. First off, I am going to take a look at these top 3 settings, the low set point, the high set point, and the max set point. Now, the operation of these can be thought of in a very similar way as the operation of a variable speed fan, which has an idle set point, which would be similar to the low. It has a set point, which would be similar to the high, and then it has a differential, which would be similar to the maximum. I will explain how it works for misting and fogging and just compare that to a variable speed fan. So when the temperature is below the low set point, the misting and fogging is not going to occur. And this is like when the temperature is below the idle set point on your variable speed fan, the fan is completely off. Between the low set point and the high set point, the misting and fogging is going to be running for the minimum misting duration. And so that is going to be the least amount of cooling occurring from your misting. And this would be similar to your variable speed fan running at idle speed. It's giving you that minimum amount of cooling. Between the high set point and the maximum set point, our misting and fogging duration will slowly increase from our minimum misting duration to our maximum misting duration. And this would be like when your variable speed fan ramps up speed between the set point and the differential. It'll ramp from your idle speed to 100%. Same sort of thing here, where our misters will ramp from our minimum misting duration up to our maximum misting duration. And then at the maximum set point and beyond, when it's hotter than that, we're going to be constantly running at our maximum misting duration, which is like having your variable speed fan running at 100%. So that's those 3 settings. The next 2 are active start and active end. And these ones, I'm just going to hop back here and set this set point down. 68, 75, 80, that is good settings for this example control that I'm setting up. All right, back to the active start and active end. If you don't want your misting and fogging to be active all the time, you can set a block of time, a chunk of time where it is active. So for this example, I am going to say that we don't want our misting and fogging running overnight. So I'm going to start misting and fogging at 5 a.m. and then at 10:30 p.m. Oh, nice, exactly. Right at 10:30 p.m., then I am going to stop misting and fogging. And so even if the temperature is something like 76 degrees, overnight at 1 a.m., because I'm not within my active period, the misting and fogging is not going to trigger. So that's what those settings are. Finally, the last of our 6 general settings is the pump delay in seconds. This setting is basically just the amount of time that you're going to give your pump to pressurize your system. When the temperature calls for your misting and fogging to your misting and fogging cycle to start, it's going to wait the pump delay amount of time before it turns on the first mister. And so what you set this to is going to depend very much on the system that you have and the pump that you have. So you'll have to figure that out for yourself. In this example, I'm just going to leave it at 10 seconds. Then let's jump into the 3 final settings, which are the mode-specific settings for misting and fogging mode. As I kind of talk through this, I'm going to talk through a little bit how the misting and fogging mode works, as that will then help us know how we want to set up these 3 different settings. So like I said, when the temperature, we'll say temperature is 70 degrees. So that's going to be our kind of our idle mode misting and fogging, or it'll be our minimum duration misting and fogging. And so the temperature is 70 degrees, we're within our active period, and so our misting and fogging cycle begins. What that looks like is our pump will turn on, and both our fans will turn on. And the cycle duration timer or clock is going to start ticking. It's going to start counting that time. We're going to wait the number of seconds that we have programmed in here for the pump delay, and then our first mister is going to come on. It will come on for our minimum misting duration and then turn off. And then the second one will come on, run for the misting duration, turn off. Third one comes on, runs for the duration, turns off. Our pump turns off. And then our fans will continue to run for however much time is left in our cycle duration. So that's when we're kind of doing our minimum misting amount. If we had the temperature, say it was like 80 or even 85 degrees, then we would be running for our maximum misting duration. And so knowing that, we can say our cycle duration can only be so long. So let's say here, if we want let's set our minimum misting to 2.5 and our maximum to 5 minutes. So our cycle duration, the shortest cycle duration that we could have is 16 minutes. And that makes sense because our maximum misting duration is 5 minutes. So our longest misting is going to be 5 minutes plus 5 minutes plus 5 minutes makes 15 minutes plus our 10-second pump delay. And then rounding that up to the closest minute rounds us up to 16 minutes. So that is the shortest cycle that we could ever run. But generally, we want to have our fans running when our misters aren't going, because we want to give an opportunity for that humidity that we have added to the air. We want to give a chance for that to evaporate and pull some of that heat out of the air. And so I'm going to up our cycle duration to 30 minutes. So here we have, when we're doing our least amount of cooling, we're going to be running each of our misters for 2.5 minutes. And then we'll have really at that point, it would be 7.5 minutes of misting. And then we would have 22.5 minutes of just the fans. And ramping up, if we were at our maximum amount of misting and fogging, we would have a full 15 minutes where our misters are running, and then we would have 15 minutes of just the fans. And so that is an example of how you could set up your misting and fogging. One final thing before I end the video. Down here at the bottom, we have this symbol here, and this is for our humidity bypass setting. So here we can enable it, and if we have it enabled, we can select a humidity probe to assign to this, and also a humidity set point. And how this works is basically it's one other setting that it's going to check to see how it's going to run your misting and fogging cycle. So the logic is this. It'll look and see, are we within the active time? If yes, then it looks at the temperature. If it's a temperature that is hot enough, given our set points, that it should run a misting and fogging cycle. Then it's going to look at the humidity bypass to determine what type of misting and fogging cycle it will run. If the humidity is below this set point, then it is going to run a normal misting and fogging cycle like I explained before. If the humidity is above this set point, then it is not going to turn on the pump and it's not going to turn on the misters. It is only going to run the fans for the entire cycle duration. And so basically, this just allows you to have a check-in and see if it's already very humid, you don't really want to add even more humidity to the air. Really, you just want to get that extra airflow and hopefully that extra cooling by running your two fans. But you don't want to add more humidity to the air. And so this setting allows you to adjust that you can bypass the adding water to the air part of your misting and fogging and really just run your fans to try and cool things off for your animals. So I will save that. Make sure that you also save all of your general settings that you've set once you've set them. And then really we are good to go. So that'll be it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next video.